You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno-Tahoe.
Back to you from Reno-Tahoe, the STIHL National Championship Air Races. We have been hindered by a smoke atmospheric situation for all of today, basically all of today. We've had a little bit of stole drag racing, but now we see planes starting to stage for an F1 race, a Formula One race. They actually ran one a few minutes ago, but now we are up and going, and we're going to see Formula One class Heat 2A. This is the gold class race in Formula One. Rob Lowe, we can say there's our second place finisher from the heat we televised yesterday.
Absolutely, Mr. Justin Metters out of Weatherford, Texas, and doing a really good job there. You know, Tommy, this class is really exciting. It's one of the oldest classes in air racing at all. In fact, it's the only continuous racing class in the history of air racing in our country. First known as midget racing back in the 30s.
Yeah. Cleveland Air Show.
Yeah, back in the 30s and 40s. This specific class was developed in 1942 and 43, and it was the first race that followed World War II. Most famously, the Cleveland Air Races, most people know from 1947. The aircraft are being towed out now into those starting positions, and we're starting to see where they are there. And again, here we talk about the 3.5-mile course. They fly 8 laps, just a little under 25 miles. Speeds well over 350 miles an hour in this class. I'm sorry, 250 miles an hour, excuse me.
Yeah.
So the top qualifiers, just almost 255 miles an hour in this class, and it ranges down to just around 200. So it ought to be a very competitive class. And the particular airplane, you can see a great example of race 12 there on the screen. All the aircraft have to be a monoplane. They're single wing. The wing is limited to 166 square feet. They all have to have fixed gear, and they have to have a third wheel somewhere. Most of them are tail draggers. Some of them have a nose gear occasionally, not this year. They all share the Continental 0200 engine, 4-cylinder, air-cooled engine. Same thing you would find in your Cessna 150. Here you see a great graphic of our up-close and personal 3.5-mile course. When they do take off together, the first lap is a oil warm-up or a starter lap. The race actually begins when they cross the steel home pylon start-finish line. That's when the clock and the timing, the race laps start to count. Now they can maneuver, Tommy, on that warm-up lap for position. So basically they're racing. It just doesn't start counting the 8 laps until we get that first lap complete. Canopy on this airplane right there, getting ready to grow. The crew chief is making sure everything's good. That is our pole position holder in this heat, Tommy, Mr. Steve Temple in race 31 in Freydnot.
Freydnot, 3-time national champion here at the air races, and there was second place from our first race yesterday in this particular category, the gold category of F1. That's Justin Metters. He is the defending, champion.
It's absolutely screaming. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's Lowell and the gang's got it all together, and I don't see anything stopping us from going all the way to the gold on Sunday. That's for sure.
Play with a few things, maybe mostly pilot probably. See if I can make it go faster. The airplane's plenty fast. I gotta fly a little smoother.
Absolutely. And then behind him is Timothy Cohn out of Fresno, California in race 99, the red, white, and blue Cassett 3. Love the name of this airplane. What airplane, honey? And there's got to be a story behind that. So great name, though.
Absolutely.
And up next beside him, we should be seeing the quad nickel here in just a second. But you can see again the engines are getting fired up, and all the aircraft are going through those final pre-race checklists. There we go, Tommy, with the
Jake Spidell, Carmel, California, quad nickel, another Cassett. They're all Cassett, well, except for one. Excuse me, 2 in this 8-team field.
And then there is race 27, aircraft called Once More, flown by Kent Jackson out of Washington, D.C., yellow and white Cassett as well. Just getting fired up there. The engine just starting on him. And looks like we've moved over to...
it's race 8, I believe. It's the Atomic Pumpkin, is it not? The orange and black?
Yes, race 48, flying in position 8. That's Blair Hamilton. Yeah. Interesting story about Blair. She bumped up into this class based on her time yesterday. She won her silver heat class yesterday and bumped up today into this heat for today. So that's kind of how it works as we make our way to Sunday. As you can, depending how you perform,
Yeah.
you can bump up or bump down. So I know she's excited to be here in the gold class heat race today. And as we talked about earlier, they take off and they head down the course. And the first time around the course is known as the oil warm-up lap or the starter lap. Now, the aircraft can jockey for position, certainly, so they're racing. But the clock doesn't start and the laps don't start counting until they come back around to the STIHL home pylon here at the start-finish line, and then that's when we start counting. They'll do 8 laps, a little under 25 miles, and it's going to be nothing but excitement the whole time, Tommy. I am really excited to see this go. And here we go. Green flag is dropped. You can see race 34, Justin Metters and Limitless on the left, Frayed Knot on the right. In race 31, Steve Temple, and you can see both of those fairly side by side. Now, yesterday, Frayed Knot, the prop that he chose, got him airborne just a little bit sooner. And again, it looks like that's the case again today. He's got a little bit of advantage over Justin, but Justin was able to close up on him yesterday.
Air 1 and 2. There's Blair Hamilton and the Atomic Pumpkin. Move up from Class B. She's got a great performance in her last race.
Absolutely, and I know she's excited to be in this heat here today and show what she's got compared to these other racers. And there we jump back to the lead with our 2 leaders. You see Frayed Knot in race 31. In that shot there, you can see Justin Metters and Limitless right behind him. And again, folks, don't forget here at Reno, where we have closed course pylon racing, it is passing on the outside. Can't pass on the inside. They also fly around the pylons. They're basically 55-gallon drums on top of 50-foot poles. So you can't cut inside of that or you get hit with a penalty. So they have to stay close to the pylon as the lead. It's so vital to have that pole position. And here you can see our 2 leaders as they come by the STIHL home pylon start-finish line. And Tommy, we're on. The clocks have started, and we are fully into lap 1 officially now as they go around the first 2 pylons.
Steve Temple in Frayed Knot has the ideal position. He can fly the shortest race course of all of them. Again, as you mentioned, Justin Metters in second place. We'll have to go around and fly a longer race course. If you want to be as efficient you can, fly the shortest course you can in order to win one of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great shot of headed down the backside of our course. You can still see a little bit of that haze in the air, and there's a great shot from our pylon cams out in the desert. And again, now as Frayed Knot and Limitless come around the last couple pylons headed into the home stretch, you see the aircraft in those banks, Tommy. In Formula One, they spend most of their time pulling 2 to 3 Gs or 2 to 3 times the force of gravity. Very little wings level time, but as they came by the home pylon there, you can see Justin Metters beginning to make some ground on Frayed Knot. He's going to try to go high, see if he can pass him while he's vertically above him, and then maybe convert that altitude into some airspeed increases. He dives for the Valley 4 behind Frayed Knot there on the backstretch. You can see he's definitely closing in, Tom.
Yeah, he has made a little space on Steve Temple at this point right now, and look for him to make another move when they go into the second turn.
Yeah, absolutely. As they head around those final 4, 5, and 6 pylons here on our course, Tommy, they definitely are neck and neck, and Justin has closed that gap significantly. But don't forget, he is taking the longer way around, and as they come by us, Tommy, his nose is slightly in front of Frayed Knot right here, but again, Steve Temple's got that inside track the shorter way around as they head into pylon 1, 2, and 3.
Going to be cat and mouse between those 2 you expect for the remainder of this race right here. We've just got 1 lap down, actually 2 laps down right now, so time is ticking away.
Tommy, on the backside of the course, it looks like Justin is out in front now as they go down the back stretch. He made the pass there coming around pylon number 3, just like we expected. It definitely is going to be competitive. Now we'll see what Steve Temple can do to get back caught up to Justin. Justin is flying the higher level right now, or the higher part of the course, just to stay clear. Don't forget, folks, they don't necessarily have a rearview mirror, and he can't really look over his shoulder and see if he's totally past him. And as they're coming back by, Steve Temple has almost caught back up with him, and they just both lapped our Atomic Pumpkin and Blair Hamilton in race 48 as they came by the home pylon there. So it's neck and neck again, Tommy, headed around the first 3 pylons.
Absolutely. Justin Metters may be ahead, but he can't take that lower route until he is clear of Steve Temple in race number 31, and that hasn't been achieved yet.
No, and here he is. I think now, Tommy, you see him begin to descend down the backstretch as they go through the valley on the backside, and they're headed into the final turns there. There we can see as they're coming around, we can see some of the Justin Metters in Limitless race 34 as he is now in the lead, coming around the flat C. as they're passing the other aircraft that are a little bit slower. So those two clearly the class of the field, Tommy.
Very much like the first race they did in this class yesterday.
Here you can see as they go around the back, there is race 31, Steve Temple and Freydnot. He's trying to take the low route, stay in tight to those pylons, see if he can make up a little bit of ground. And whatever Justin Metters did between yesterday and today, he's got a little bit of difference where he couldn't quite catch him yesterday. He's gotten out in front and seems to be able to hold it at this point. We're on lap 5 of 8, so we're a little over halfway, Tommy.
Justin Metters holding up higher as he went through. You think maybe he's enough to get clear enough to get down. And there he goes on the straight stretch, flying level, and maintaining a little slightly, just a slightly.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's held that line pretty consistently, Tommy. I thought he was initially flying a little bit higher just to make sure he was getting around Freydnot, but he's out in the lead. He's continued to hold that, so that's where he's comfortable. That's where his airplane's flying the best. And again, the rule is you just got to be outside of the pylons to fly the course. They're obviously some high altitude back there in the back, but Justin doing really good. Now here's some other competitors.
Race 21, Blackjack, in 6th and 7th place. Blackjack, race 21.
And here we are jumping back to the lead here. Here's Justin Metters out front of Steve Temple crossing the STIHL home pylon start-finish line. You can see Justin now is appearing to stretch out that lead just a little bit, and they had just passed some more lap traffic. So they have just about passed the entire field here, Tommy, in 7 of the 8 laps. We should have a white flag next time.
Next time is white flag. Bell lap. Justin Metters certainly has made an adjustment that has paid off for him versus yesterday's performance, and he is they've switched roles, basically, is what happens from yesterday's race.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what the cat and mouse game that goes on between now and Sunday, what Freydnot does to adjust to make up that difference again. But as they come around, our leaders come around pylons 5 and 6 and head for the home stretch, you can see Justin Metters there. He converts that altitude into a little bit of nose down acceleration. There we do have the white flag. Tommy, 1 lap to go.
Justin Metters right where he wants to be. It's going to be very, very difficult at this point for race 31, Steve Temple and Freydnot, to catch him in the short time remaining.
Both our leaders are beginning to make ground again on race 48, Blair Hamilton out of Alberta, Canada, in the Atomic Pumpkin. Again, she bumped up to this class from the slower class yesterday, and there we see the aircraft now, both of them making maneuvers around some of that lap traffic. They're passing through pylons 4, 5, and 6 on the west end of the course. Coming to the checkered flag, you see Justin Metters passing the Atomic Pumpkin, and then Freydnot there in the middle of the white airplane, race 31.
Let's get back as those two lead the race course now, first and second unofficially. Let's look back further in the field right there.
Race 21, Josh Watson and Blackjack, along with Carl Robinson in race 81, Sleeper, silver and white airplane. Still a lot of competitive racing going on back in the pack here, Tommy, as well. Don't forget, each of our competitors are all working, for that final Sunday time, and they want to bump up and bump down and stay in this gold class if they can. So they're all giving it everything they can as they come to the finish line here. There you see race 21, Josh Watson. Race 81, Carl Robertson right behind him.
They are finished.
And we have one more racer. And then so the last aircraft, Blair Hamilton, when the race was over, she went ahead and pulled up on that there. So Tommy, that wraps it up for this. Hey man, that was an exciting heat. And what we saw yesterday, let's go back and look at it again. Here we got Freydnot out front of Limitless as they head into the first turn, and it took Justin Metters. We talked about the fixed pitch prop. He got off a little bit slower, but then when his aircraft settled in, it began to make ground, and he eventually passed Freydnot.
Took him about a good third to a half of the race to get the job done, but he did get the job done, and it took a long time for him to get clear of Steve Temple in order to gain that absolute pole position.
Yeah, and here you see during the middle part of the race where Justin is up high over the top, and he's accelerating through that turn, and we thought he was just flying high to get around him, but here you can see them lapping Blair Hamilton right there, and that was the point where coming past the STIHL home pylon start-finish line, Justin finally got his nose in front, and then the next couple laps he just continued to accelerate away and eventually finished about 10, 12 plane lengths ahead of Freydnot at the finish. There you see as we're coming to the checkered flag there.
I think that was the Yeah, that was lap number 7, the finish lap number 7.
You can see great shot from our pylon cams out there. Isn't that beautiful? The skies are clearing just a little bit for us, which is nice. You can see the smoke and the haze in the distance, but you can see the leaders had to contend with lap traffic here all the way around. They were just enough faster than the rest of the group that complicates those passes, because, Tommy, you have to pass on the outside, so you not only have a competitor right on your tail, but there's the checkered flag in the wind right there, Tommy.
Well, it's unofficial, but right now this is what we have for you. Justin Metters, race 34, Limitless in first place. Steve Temple, Afraid Not, race 31 in second place. Timothy Cohn started in third. He finished in third. And what airplane, honey? Jack Spidell, for race 45 in quad nickel in fourth place. Ken Jackson once more, race 27 in fifth. Race 21, Joshua Watson in blackjack. In sixth place, Sleeper, race 81, Carl Robinson in seventh place. And Blair Hamilton, the Atomic Pumpkin, in finishing it. Actually, a DNF, did not finish because left the race a little bit early.
Right, I think she left before she finished that last lap. So, Tommy, what a competitive race, just exactly as advertised. And man, I'm excited we got to race today with the smoke, and we got to see just fantastic competitive race at that.
These guys had to wait about 3 hours from their scheduled time in order to, so you know they were full of enthusiasm. They were just fit to be tied. And there's your winner right there, Justin Metters, race 34.
Yeah, great look at these aircraft. Again, we talked about how small they are, strapping on a go-kart that's half the weight of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. But there you can see Justin Metters taxiing his aircraft back in. And that we talked about earlier, Tommy, again, where most people are taxiing with their feet to control the rudder.
Yeah.
Justin's got it all in hand controls. He has an extra stick in the cockpit. His throttle is a twist type, like a motorcycle, if you're familiar with throttles on a motorcycle. And then he is very adept at how he flies this airplane.